I was terrified when those 6 movies didn't do well because I'm not a Nepo baby. I didn't have that kind of support which exists in a big way in Bollywood movies. They are multi-generational actors that come in and get multiple opportunities versus the ones that come in from outside. You don't have your uncle making a new movie for you just because their last one tanked.
अरे बाप रे ये तो धोती खोल रहा है
Priyanka Chopra in her promotional tour for Citadel just sat for an interview with one of the most popular Spotify podcasts called The Armchair Expert, which is hosted by Dax Shepard. This interaction has become the talk of the town online because Priyanka Chopra expressed one of the things that everyone has always been curious about. Why did Priyanka Chopra, at the height of her career, where she was one of the most sought-after, successful Hindi film actresses, leave everything and go to the United States to become a pop star? Why would an actor who is loved dearly and celebrated at the movies in India start from scratch to do singles like In My City and Exotic with the likes of will.i.am and Pitbull? While most media outlets and celebrities have latched on to one of her statements in the podcast, creating a perception on social media that Priyanka only badmouthed the Hindi film industry and her experiences, I listened to the entire podcast last night and there is much more than just that one statement or clip, which I thought I could unpack with all of you. A highlight reel of sorts to make you understand that Priyanka Chopra is not on this parade to villainize an industry, but just spoke her truth that consists of both good and bad. Priyanka Chopra gave credit to her generation of actresses. One would assume it to be the likes of Kareena Kapoor, Vidya Balan, Tabu and Aishwarya Rai, who worked towards creating pay parity in the film industry. While starting off and barely being considered in the same level playing field to their male counterparts, referenced in the podcast when starting out being paid checks close to 5 to 10% of what the male stars were paid. While the argument still stands for the big stars deserving handsome paychecks for the crowds that they draw in, it was refreshing to know that Priyanka Chopra presented her case of being a co-lead in a show like Citadel and deserving equal pay for the series and getting it also. The case of Sridevi and Madhuri Dixit in the 90s being paid more than their male co-stars was indicative of them guaranteeing footfalls in theatres, and it was so refreshing to see how Priyanka acknowledges that the system is way better now, which I assume has benefited the likes of Anushka Sharma or Deepika Padukone being paid equal if not more than their male co-stars in some cases. Priyanka on the podcast further dwells on her experience growing up in the States, her perception of the West, the difference in school systems, the first generation immigrants and the compulsion to assimilate, essentially walking so that they could fly, and more importantly, talking about the much debated topic about Indians code switching with their accents. The need for Indians to put on an accent simply to be comprehensible versus what is perceived as showing off. During the Oscar campaign of RRR, we saw how Junior NTR and Ramcharan were trolled for their accents, but while we pull down each other, and inevitably so, it's important to note on how it becomes almost organic to roll your R's and enunciate less to save yourself from the embarrassment of repeating the sentence. An embarrassing moment from the podcast, however, includes Priyanka referencing RRR as a Tamil film, and I hoped for a Joe Rogan Jamie to exist in the corner who could correct the statement in real time. Priyanka then further spoke about the beauty pageants and how, in contrast to first world countries, many third world countries see the pageants as aspirational as one becomes a representative of the country on a global map. And what's even more admirable is that she shouts out Aishwarya Rai and Sushmita Sen for paving the way and being an inspiration for her to even consider the same. While being asked about colorism existing in India, Priyanka refreshingly spoke about the normalization of fair skin products that are saturated in the market and how one sees being fair as more beautiful and attractive. So much so that it's one of the first requirements on matrimonial websites. She is self-critical for partaking in advertisements that double down on this concept where the darker woman was not desirable and how a skin cream would change her fate. She breaks the perception that Dax Shepard has regarding the Indian film industry currently, assuming that female actors are not given the opportunities like their male counterparts. But Priyanka references the strides the film industry has taken in the last few years and the opportunities that have increased due to the digital boom where stories can be told in several formats. She further states that the stardom in India is something that is unfathomable for someone in the States. Possibly only Tom Cruise can be considered in the same league, and that is true. The loyal fan bases and the volume of people we have, the case is undeniable. The part which everyone is talking about comes in the 1 hour mark where Dax asks why Priyanka left India at the height of her career, and this is where Priyanka references several of her flops that occurred between 2008 and 10 and how there was a perception created by film and trade magazines that her reign was over. She speaks about how an outsider is only given opportunity if their ventures work, as they can't depend on their family members funding their next film even if their movies fail. This is where Priyanka gives us a slight hint about the fact that she felt ostracized as well before starting her music career in the West. She was not being offered the same roles anymore, there was presumably politics and she was not being cast, and it was all a product of having beef with influential people. One can assume what Priyanka may be referencing to, but such a dramatic move to North America also has to stem from hardships, something that her current manager also speaks about.
I was at this dinner with some prominent, people from I'm going to say Bollywood, but they hate that word, so the Hindi film industry. And they were just so negative about her. They were like, she's never going to work, she's never going to this, she's never going to, I don't know why you're wasting your time, blah, blah, blah. And, I remember feeling really hurt actually at the time. And I remember being like, am I wasting my time? Blah, blah, blah. But this is where just self-belief comes in.
What's important about Priyanka mentioning this chapter of her life is that she is not on a tirade to name drop and malign people, but speak her truth and more power to her. A lot of people are referencing this as simply an opportunity in her promotional campaign to make headlines, and while that is inevitable, I don't think it still takes away from just an actor speaking her truth.
I was being pushed into a corner in the industry. I had people not casting me for reasons. I had beef with people. And
That's exciting.
Again, I'm not good at
playing that game.
The politics.
So I kind of was tired of the politics.
Priyanka speaks about her humbling experience in the States, starting from scratch, pitching her name everywhere, is self-critical and speaks about her brief music career with great self-awareness, and then dives deep into Citadel, their global plan and her personal life with Nick Jonas. She references toxic relationships back in the day, the insecurity of ex-partners who would fight with her on her biggest days, and that's all the tea that was spilled. I think it's absolutely deductive to reduce what Priyanka has said with the intention of merely making headlines, as she just spoke about her experiences, and it is naive to believe that it may have not happened. In an industry that is so cutthroat, competitive and insular in wanting to work with only family and friends, I do not think Priyanka ever set out to be portrayed as the victim through this interaction, but presented it as setbacks which made her believe that she could persevere and create an empire for herself elsewhere. Even though I miss Priyanka Chopra consistently featuring in Hindi films, as I do still feel she is one of the most talented actors we have, especially in the commercial space, never did I feel that the interaction was driven with wanting to target people or an industry, but was set out to tell her story that is bound to have the good, the bad, and the ugly. I wonder why everyone is so pressed about it. And that was a video, guys. Please do write down in the comments below what were your thoughts about the interaction and what Priyanka Chopra stated. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle is right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.